Hey, good morning, everybody. It's Saturday. I made this, or making rather, this live stream blog because, first of all, as you know, we've had two current incidents that have captured
We've had
the country's.
two
I would think it's fair to say that if they've
current
captured the
incidents
country's
that
attention in a way that's unprecedented, and they happen very close together. And the first, of course, was Amy Cooper, the now former financial manager, calling the police on Christopher Cooper because Christopher Cooper said, "Hey, um, you should leash your dog," right? And then, of course, there's what happened to George Floyd. And those two events collectively have spawned the greatest set of protests and also scene after scene after scene of police brutality, looting, and everything else in the middle of a pandemic, leading to perhaps the most incredible actions of social upheaval the United States has seen in its history. And we're not done. But something happened last night that really just made me stop and pause about what was happening and what was in all the discussions that are ensuing, the one that's not being talked about. I have, over my life, had a lot of white female friends. The reason is simply because I was never brought up with the idea that I should stay away from those white people. And when I was coming up, I was interested in subjects that, well, now we would tag as a person who was a nerd, right? Or more focused, a blurred. Star Trek, androids, artificial intelligence is what that's now called, what was back then just simply called robotics and computer technology. Thinking about the future, being a futurist, and so on. In having those interests, and then of course, I was the first, as I was president of the bike club at Skyline, and as our sponsor Eugene Rockman pointed out, the first black president. Everyone else was white, but they're all great friends of mine to this day. I can go on and on and on. But what happened last night really just struck me. And this person who I've known for some years now put out a Facebook post that essentially was self-congratulatory about how her family had evolved, but in pointing to friends that she was thanking for the evolution of her journey, she pointed only to black female friends. And she didn't mention me, in spite of the fact that I'd written about this person, was at this person's book signing. I've been a supportive friend, right? And I mentioned on Facebook, I said, "Hey, don't forget you've had black male friends help you along the way too." No answer back. And so it started in my mind this process of thinking about conversations and complaints, conversations I've had and complaints I've issued to white female friends about things they did that were racist. Now, let me be clear, I'm not a perfect person either. And I remember one of my friends years ago said, "Don't use the term catfight." And no one had ever bothered to explain to me that such a term was a bad thing. So I asked her why. And she told me. And guess what? Ever since that point in time, she told me that, which is about over 10 years ago now. I think about it. I've never used the term because this person took the time to tell me that was not the term to use. Cool. Not a problem. Always trying to get better. Anyway, I have had discussions more recently with one person who had a staff member at this person's organization. And I was instructing them on a method that I built of vlogging that I think some of you are aware of now. If you're not, just go to zenny62media.com and you will be. And the person who I'm acquainted with on the other end, one of her staff members, had this tendency, who was Asian American and female, had this tendency in our conversation sort of shine me on. I would say something, and I would notice that ever after the first maybe 30 or 40 seconds of my saying something, she would sort of shut me off, right? In general, that bad habit poured itself into our conversation, even though it wasn't face to face. And she would just say, yeah, 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 yeah. And I kept repeating. I said, look, if you do this, your face is going to be everywhere. And I need you to be prepared for that. Okay. So I explained that. But then sure enough, hey, we go through the process of propagating content. And guess what? Oh my goodness, can you take this down? My face is all over the place. So I took the complaint to my friend who was also her boss. And instead of saying, hey, you know, I've got your back on this or anything else, what I got was a pushback I didn't expect to get. And on top of that, I was very nervous that my system is going to be misused, because if I have all these videos taken down, those are broken links, which looks not only look bad, they cause a lot of possible downgrading of SEO depending on the platform that they happen on. All right. Broken links are a bad thing. So I tried to explain this, but because of the way that I talk in this person, whatever's going on in their minds collectively, all of a sudden I'm being threatening. So so here we go from my construct, something that I built that they're using, all right, not being operated properly because they didn't listen to me. And then when I explain to them in a fashion where I'm understandably upset, suddenly I'm being threatening, even though I'm 3,000 miles away, right? I took that to my friend, and the reaction was not what I expected. We came that close to not being friends anymore. We're fine now, but it had to do with an innate racism that was there. In other words, hey, if you're a white guy and you create something and you're explaining it, the tendency among the audience is to pay rapt attention for that. But if it's somebody else, if it's me, okay, or someone else black, even in the position, I'm talking about even in the position where they are using my creation, my process, that does not overshadow how they subconsciously view me, okay? And that happens with a lot of black men. These are the little waves of bad behavior that create the little actions of bad behavior that create big waves that become a tidal wave, which produces social behaviors like the one that Amy Cooper was caught on camera doing, and the one that killed George Floyd. And that thinking behind a person who would want to treat a black man like that. I can go on and on. There's letters I've written to one friend years ago basically explaining how she was being racist and race she wasn't even, I don't think, entirely aware of. And then there are the actions today where some of these same friends go out and they protest, but they do so with white friends, all right? Not seeking to say how can they themselves alter how they interact with society in little ways to make things better. Or more to the point, call Zenny and say, hey, Zenny, you know that we had discussions on this and I think we should talk about it. And I want to talk to you about what I've learned and everything else. You know, having a heart to heart. No. And then I had another white friend, female, who we were having a discussion. And every time we have a discussion about African American male issues, problems, they always can over to mentioning gay male. I'm not gay. Okay. And I keep pointing this out to her and I say, why do you keep bringing that up in the context of us talking about race issues, or in particular, black men? Right? It happens again and again and again. It's like several times. And I said, what is it? You don't want to hear about black problems? Now, by contrast, if someone of my friends complains about a female issue, I always listen. I don't gaslight. That's called gaslighting. And there's another example where a so-called friend of mine, who's not a friend anymore, was complaining about going on this big rant about issues she was confronting at work and in society. And a bunch of people chimed in, including myself, saying, hey, we get this, understand. And I said, come on, check out the South. It's friendlier. And then I made a comment. I wrote a comment saying, oh, by the way, this is really great. You should make a blog so that it's presented to a wider audience rather than just in Facebook, right? And in fact, what I wrote was, in terms of total number of words, even smaller than what I just told you. In spite of that, what I got was shocking to this day. I was accused of trying to take over that person's conversation on Facebook. And then I was called an asshole. And I said, no, I'm sorry, I wasn't doing that. I said, please stop, I'm not doing that. It was always, please stop. And then her husband, who I've known for a long time, who's also not my friend now, chimes in and basically likes what she's saying to me. Now, folks, I have no idea what's going on with this person, upstairs. All I know is it was directed at me. And not only did it not stop, it got worse. And then her friends, who I don't think really are friends at all, but they're all white and female, were asking if I could apologize to her for something that I never did. Okay? And I had blocked that person. But so ingrained is that desire to think of a black man as bad that they couldn't even see their own bad behavior, and neither could she. And her husband was enabling it. It even got to a point where I was getting emails from them. And all I would write was, please stop. This is wild. Please stop. That was the consistent request, right? It was nuts. And all of this happened just a few weeks before the incidents that caused these riots. And I was thinking, and I pointed out, hey, look, this is beginning to take on a racist tinge. I said, do you realize that all the people responding to me are white? People who would see this person's comments in Facebook don't know me and say, well, you need to apologize. For what? Well, this person is bipolar. I didn't know that. Okay, remember, think back to what I told you. This all started from me just simply saying, oh my goodness, I feel your pain, right? And you should come this out. Or, hey, make a blog. to which I was accused of something having to do with the Chinese government and discussing authoritarianism and digital tour. It means like a long paragraph response. I'm like, what the heck is this? Okay. I mean, and it was off the chart crazy. And then for her husband to enable it, who I've known for years, was just absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. And these are folks who will say, oh, they're not racist. But in point of fact, it looked pretty racist to me. In other words, not only was I not given any benefit of any doubt, the bad behavior was put up on me for things that I didn't even do. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter what you said. You should do this anyway. Well, no, I'm not. Because then all of a sudden it takes on another series of directions. All the people involved in that. When I took a look at their Facebook groups and friends, and I've noticed this for a number of them before, they had no real black friends. None. How do you construct a life without having black friends? Jay-Z says that's why you don't do social media. You might have a great idea there, okay? Because a lot of this is social media born. But a lot of it is born, like Jamie's, a lot of it is born just by how a person is, which comes out, if you remember my first example, or maybe you weren't here, not in social media. I can go on and on and on about specific examples that have happened recently that boil down to this. Okay, here's another one. Longtime Oakland person, was blogging out there. I've asked this person, heard a blog. This goes back to 2006. Because this person needed something. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I obliged. I said, I'm so happy. Is there anything I can do? I said, yeah, write one blog post. 200 words. Nothing. Okay. So this person has never done what some people, even perhaps watching this, will do, which is, hey, Zenny, I've watched your stuff for years. Can I be a blogger or a vlogger or anything? So my point is this. Stop putting me in a position where I always have to reach out. Do what some of you used to do. Call, keep in touch, talk. But most importantly, stop marginalizing your black male friendships. Okay? Stop putting them to the sidelines. And if you have issues and you have problems of perception you need to confront, do so. I remember, and this person wasn't a friend. In Oakland, there was a woman who made a blog about postpartum depression. And she gave a number of examples of how she was during the time that she had postpartum depression, certain behaviors that I realized. I said, hey, you know what? You're actually being mean to certain people out there who are black. And this person admitted that they were right in the middle of what they were going through. So there is an undercurrent of desire to exclude black men that has produced a society overall that today, I'm not kidding you when I say this. A study exists that says, hey, if you are black and male, okay, a gay black male, okay, makes more money than you do as a straight black man, okay? I'm not kidding you. And you might be wondering what's that typing. I'm typing up this to show you what I'm talking about. This is not, okay? I am not kidding you, all right? All right. I am not kidding you. And the whole point is, what kind of society have we developed? All right. What kind of society have we developed where that comes to pass? I mean, if there is a better example of fear of black men, aside from, of course, with this, with the exception of what we've experienced, I want to see it. But the fact of the matter is, hey, this study is there and it points to that problem. Here it is. It's called right here, the high salary trifecta: gay, black, and male. All right. As new studies suggest, a surprising combination of factors could lead to the best pay. All right. But specifically black. All right. Black. And then it goes on to read that basically straight, and this is right here, listen to this. Padula found that straight black men were more likely to be perceived as threatening as measured with answers as to whether the respondent thought their applicant was likely to, quote, break workplace rules, unquote, quote, make female coworkers feel uncomfortable, or, quote, steal from the workplace. In contrast, gay black men were considered by far the less threatening. Gay black men are also judged to be the most feminine, followed by gay white men. I want to stop that here, okay? The simple fact that that was written should give you pause, because the next thing you should think about is, what do we do as a society to produce an environment that by its nature is hostile to anyone who is black, male, and straight? All right. Now, it's not that things are, so bad that if you just go out as a black guy, it's like, oh my God, nothing. No, because what sits cheek by jowl with what I just showed you is, in popular culture today, a number of examples on television of interracial relationships. Like, for example, the great TV show on CBS called God Friended Me, right? Or, for example, the gigantic number of interracial relationships today. And the rate of interracial marriage is so great that interracial marriage is commonplace, which is a bravo thing. But I point back to this as exemplary of a still existent problem of perception about black men and being threatening. All right. And then in that, you have to go back to, think about this, you have to go back to Amy Cooper, okay, and the vast number of images, okay, and her vast number of images online, as that we see right here, of her using a phone to call the police on Christian Cooper, same last name, and then lying to the police, saying, yeah, that the black man was threatening her, right? That she was in fear, okay? This is inculcated in our society, and it is your job as a white woman to stop that behavior where you see it, and if it is within you, to get rid of it. Okay? Get rid of it. Because it's not, first of all, a good thing to do. It's not a good way to be. It's immoral, it's unjust, and of course racist. And of course racism is a mental illness, so there you go. All right. Jamie says that he's disgusted listening to that 911 call. She could have had the brother killed. Exactly. There are a number of black men in society, all right, who have similar stories. Those stories should not be, but they're out there. They're numerous. They're prevalent to this day. You want another one? Look at, remember Barbecue Becky, okay? There's another one. Who's going to call the police on Kinsey Smith? Fortunately, his then white female wife, they've since divorced, Michelle, showed up, made a now famous video. It's been seen millions of times in scolding and outing Jessica Schulte, who the cops believe was what we call in California a 5150. Not all there, okay? But there are other examples too. So we've got to work to stop them. But I'm saying to my friends, you know, I've heard from one female friend, one white male friend in terms of phone calls. I'm not saying, and these are surprises. These are great. Just saying, hey, letting you know that we're out there and thinking about you. And I appreciate that. But some of you out there I haven't heard from, who I've had these conversations with, okay? And you know there's unfinished business there. So I need you to think about that as you go forward. Clean up your black male relationships where there are issues. Do that. That will help a lot. And the simplest way you can clean those up is just by communicating. That's it. I mean, something else comes to mind. I remember one time when I think there was a situation where some person had a question regarding James Baldwin. Now here I am, I'm born in 1962, same year as James Baldwin, but I'm not gay. But I've had a similar level of experiences. This friend could simply have asked me, rather than go with with her white friends, right, and watch a movie about James Baldwin. Okay? So we need to have a sea change in total where white women alter how they treat black men. All right, that's all. That's what I'm saying. So, God bless you all. Love you all very much. And as MC Too Tall just said here in the comment section, communication goes a long way. And MC Too Tall says, same year as your late brother. Sorry about your brother. Okay. All right. Subscribe to Zenny62 and bookmark oaklandnewsnow.com. Thanks.